All right, hope that was fun. Let's go into private session programming, which is the PowerPoint for that. Oh, what I've also put in, what I meant to tell you, what I put in the social media outreach is that right there. You see that influencer audit there? So I got audited by an agency that like tells you how to be a better influencer, and paid for the program because I was like, what do they have to offer? And so that's the audit that they did of me, and they were like, the picture you have is good, but you could do better, and this is how. Your content is great, but this is how you could aim it. And so that's how I came up with those 9 tiles, is they were like, make sure it differs. And so I kind of sat down and brainstormed through what it is I want y'all to look like online, as far as, you know, putting yourself out there in the most authentic way, looking like a holistic person. I came up with that, and there are elements that they like, there are elements based on what they said that I tweaked. Okay. Blind as a bat. It's a true story. All right. Number 13. Okay, private session. Giving you all I got, giving you everything. Okay. Private sessions, mind-blowing one-to-one sessions. So if you want to build your yoga practice, I highly recommend that you start to cultivate online one-to-one students. And when you can get back into personal space with people, you can definitely do these online in person. However, I will tell you, it's so convenient for people to just meet you on their time in their private space while you are behind your computer, and you can have this one-to-one relationship. Nowhere in my history has it ever been easier to build my online one-to-one yoga practice. And what I was resistant to for years, when several would be contacting me and be like, can I get a one-to-one? And I'd be like, I'm not taking clients right now. Because I was really burnt out on aspects of the business of going to the studio, showing up, and a private client would show up. And then I would have to reschedule and all of that. And that was creating practitioner burnout. That doesn't exist anymore, because it's with my private clients now, it's 3 o'clock on a Wednesday and they're like, I'm running 5 minutes late. I still know they're there, and I'm online. When they go into the waiting room, boom, they're in there, and my time is my time. We were scheduled at 3, you get in at 3:15. Shame on you. Okay. So it's easier now, it's creating less burnout. And because I could not previously record sessions on the cloud, somebody being like, how am I going to remember this? I'd have to sit down, write down a sequence, email it to them, or write down what it was I said, email it back to them. It was creating so much extra work on the back end. And instead of that, I'll be like, I'm just going to go ahead and send you the recording. I know. And they're like, oh my God, it's a living reference tool. And everybody, it's a win-win for everyone. So this is how to do it. General description of offering your private services. Number 1, you have to have a trigger question. Like, do you think your life would be different if you had one-to-one yoga training? Absolutely, it would be. Or are you afraid to start meditating because you have trouble sitting still? The trigger questions of, are you terrified to put on the black stretchy pants and go to the yoga studio because you're scared of mean girls? Like anything. Like, yeah, I am too. Like curious. And then, I was supposed to say, I bet you are, but I bet you are. I was too. I have a plan, you'll have the benefits, and boom, this is how to contact me. Like a general description of, you know, this gets to be short as an invitation into like let's investigate further. They click in to your call to action, and then you start to delineate your specialness, because you are in fact special. I want you to highlight the 5 things you want everyone to leave with from a private session. You want everyone to leave empowered. You want everyone to leave with greater knowledge. You want everyone to leave feeling better rather than worse. You want everyone to leave boom, boom, boom. I want you to write down, brainstorm the 5 key things you want everyone to have. And you say that in your general description. Like, I have a plan. Everyone leaves empowered, educated, thoughtful, and stronger, stretchier, or relaxed, whatever it is, stretchier. You can tell my brain is starting to melt. Everyone leaves stretchier. Then highlight the 5 things you know you rock at. If you don't know, you email me. I will tell you the 5 things you rock at. If you do not know, number 2 on your list will tell you the 5 things you rock at. So will number 3 on that list of 5 people. Number 1 is just going to tell you, babe, you're awesome. That's all number 1 is ever going to tell you. Why are you asking? What's wrong? Are you leaving me? Don't leave me. Like, that's all number 1 is going to say. Number 4 will go on forever about it, okay? You want to make sure you ask those people, 2, 3, and 4. Number 3 might also say, these are the things you're really good at, and we got 2 things you can work on. Yeah. Also, highlight the 5 important gets from being with you. So everyone leaves with these, but 5 things that people will get with you is you are going to get a progressive program, and I'm going to talk about what that is here in a second. And this is not everyone, this is what you're going to get. You are going to get 50 minutes in a session. Do not go longer than 50 minutes. The human attention span in a yoga private is 45 minutes. You have 5 minutes to get in, 5 minutes to get out, 40 minutes of programming, okay? That's how it works. That's the formula that works. You are going to get every session is X dollars, or packages are this much money. Everyone gets, that, or sliding scale available, etc. Everyone gets access. One of the things is access into our, tribe of Facebook, inspiration group or something. But come up with 5 things that are, you get a personalized intake evaluation, like 5 things that up the value of that. Okay. So you got a list of 15 things. You got a little bit of copy, and then of this, are you curious as to how personal one-to-one yoga can change your life? I bet you are. I was too. It worked for me. I cannot believe how my one-to-one time with Shigure changed my life. I now have a plan based on that and 25 years of experience. You're going to have all the benefits. Check it out. Everyone leaves with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you could have a great quote. And then you say, and what I recommend is you have Rebecca write this for you, of being like, Shannon is admired for X, Y, Z, da-da-da, okay? And then you say, in each session, these things are included. And I would definitely say all practices are recorded up on the cloud. You have permanent access to this, our time together. That is of immense value to people. We never discounted our classes in the studio when COVID hit. That closed so many yoga studios where they all of a sudden they were like, oh my God, we have to go to an online format. Let's make the classes $2 a piece. Let's just make them $1 a piece. And then the yoga studios, 2 months later, were like, we now have $9. And they didn't have any money to pay the bills. People were like, are online classes still $15 drop-in? I was like, yes, they are. And they're really valuable because you get to keep the recording. People are like, oh my God, that's such a deal. And so we never had to discount it. And we also always said packages, which I'm going to say that when I talk about privates, are less expensive. So packages can take practices down to $7 a class. And you're like, oh my God, I'm going to buy that much more. All right, bodies of work. Again, we're back to you must have a minimum of 3. And add beginners. The reason why I want you to do this, okay, let's say these are your modalities. You teach a workshop-based practice. You teach a fitness-based yoga. You teach a yin-based practice. Those are your 3 very different modalities, okay? You add beginners into that, and you now have what is called a feeder modality. Because those beginners will become your workshop students. Those beginners might delve into yin, so on and so forth. And teaching beginner yoga is going to make you an amazing teacher. You need the feeder. You also need to constantly up-level your teaching skills, because your workshop practitioner knows when you say step your right foot forward. And your beginning student is like, where do I get one of those? It's that thing down beneath your head that you still have shoes on. Okay, all right. So you now have 4 bodies of work, four packages of privates. So you're not out there as one of those yoga teachers saying on your Instagram, contact me if you want a private yoga session. Because I'm not even interested. I'm not going to investigate you. But you could say in one of your tiles, like in Yoga A, like in chill, like this is what chill yoga is, chill flow, and then be like available as a 5 series of private sessions that will chill you out perpetually. Yeah. And then all of a sudden people get really interested, and then you just keep doing this, and all of a sudden it's not that it's this ethereal private session. It's like, oh my God, it's a thing. You can actually buy these as things. It's like valuable. You're not swimming with all the other yoga teachers that are out there. Beginners, they are the hero. In their ordinary world, they do not practice yoga and would benefit so much for it. Or in their ordinary world, they are intimidated by it. I don't know that I would start yoga in the current yoga market. I would, because I could be at home in my own spandex. But previous, like last year, I've definitely told people it's just too pretty of a market. I think my self-esteem would be really scared to go into like a really big, like kindness yoga back in the day, or walk into yoga pod. That would scare the shit out of me, because everybody knows what to wear, you know? Mm-hmm. Everybody knows all the stuff. Like if I didn't know yoga, I'd be like, yeah, I'll just go run by myself or hike or something. I'd be curious, okay? But now it's like, these are these students, they might be intimidated. The idea of walking into a studio, and or think of also, they know the studios are gonna open. Wouldn't they like to know what to do before the studios do open up? So when the studios do open up, they won't be beginners anymore. They'll be a bit seasoned. In their ordinary world, they started and stopped. That's also a beginner. They started and stopped for some reason. That could have been wrong style, wrong teacher, or wrong community. They felt shamed in some way. Or in their ordinary world, they don't even know where to begin. But if you do this, like if one of your yoga tiles on there, you are like, I remember when I began. Maybe you're just beginning. And you start telling the story of how they could join into a beginning yoga practice, and this is what they're going to get out of it, because this is what you offer, and this is the victory you had because it was just that hard and you did just get better at getting to the mat and into the spandex. Beginner format is 5 sessions. I recommend all of your formats be 5 sessions. Can you give a one-time single user private? Sure. Just charge more for it. I do not like doing one-offs. I do not. I don't like doing it. If you want to do a one-time yoga private with me, it's $154. I don't like doing it. You're not vested in it. I'm not vested in it. I am not a training seal. I do not like being treated like I am just giving you a workout. And I'm never going to see if you're going to get stronger where you said you wanted to get stronger. And so I really try to I don't try to talk people into it. I try to format things so that I get to see the student 5 times. They get to see me 5 times. We get to actually work through a system of something. I now invested in their story. I am so wired to love story too. And they're going to see benefit. They're not going to really see benefit at one. But if somebody's like, oh my God, you're Erin J. Can I have a private with you? I'm only in town for this afternoon. Of course you can. You can always do fewer. But if you set up 5, you're all going to be more satisfied. I guarantee it. Can you always, if somebody is like, I really can only afford to do 3, you can either slide your scale financially, or you could do 3. You have the opportunity to fine tune this as you need to, but if you set it up as 5, you will have more success. It's really tried and true. I guarantee it. Number 1, in a beginning format, this is how I do. I work symmetrical core, first of all. I have the student work on both feet doing the same thing, both hips doing the same thing, and figuring out where their whole abdominal wall is. At least knowing where it is half the battle. I figure out how strong they are so I can fine tune my plan for next time. Okay, and since I record everything, I'm like, at least practice this one more time between now and when we meet again. Okay, they're getting 2 practices for the price of 1 now. Asymmetrical standing pose, then I do symmetrical back bend, like floor down back bends, or I end up, this person did a 5 punch and then they do another 5 pack of practices. So I can now go in a different direction of symmetrical back bends. It's just like you've got all different postures. This is just a frame of action. Asymmetrical standing pose 2, lunge and warrior 2. Of course, you fine tune this based on who it is. And then number 5 is always restorative meditation. That's my 5 package. How much do you charge for this? It really depends. Value your time. I will tell you right now, the going rate for most yoga private practices are anywhere between $25 an hour to $154. Anywhere in there. If you have 5, I'm like, a one-off practice is $154. I was like, but packages are, I charge at minimum $55 for 50-minute practice. It's online, it's Zoom, it's perfect for me. Happy to do that as a package. So anywhere from $200 to $300 for a package. And I put sliding scale.
I teach one corporate class like once a month, and we have like 6 people in it. When I started, I was like, oh, I'm really excited how it's only charging $40. And like, oh no.
No, for a corporate client, you always charge more. Always, because they can afford it. That bill starts at $100 for 50 minutes. That starts at that. That's what you should start at a corporate client.
And here also, right?
That would just be like, yeah, $100. Body of work specific. It should say body of work specific. Sorry, I did this on the classes. One Earth Alignment Flow, for example, it's a 5-session model, and you can focus on the 5 tenets or the 5 principles of your work. I'm actually going to come up with 5 tenets of One Earth Alignment Flow, but also, since it's syllabus-based, I do the 5 most desired peak poses to personally be coached into. And then your second, so you have beginners, you have your first body of work specific package of poses. Then you have your second body of work package of poses. Mine is Anjali Restorative Yoga, for example. There, I lead them through the spinal sequence. Then the second one I see them is I lead them through the hip opening, the chakra sequence. Then I lead them through the Bhagavad Gita sequence, which is the inversion restorative sequence. And then I lead them through the Hanuman sequence, the Ganesh sequence. Both of those are story-driven. Then the third body of work specific. This is, I do it as a therapeutic with intake. And so this is actually the one that I do the most often. And the 5 tenets of my therapeutic sessions are first assessment, because usually people contact me I partner with a chiropractor, a local chiropractor, and I'm the only yoga teacher she's comfortable sending clients to. And she's the only chiropractor I'm comfortable sending clients to. She uses a drop table, which is right over here. If you ever need a great chiropractor, damn. And her name is Shannon too, so it's like win win. And so I often get these emails that say Shannon referred me to take private yoga with you for therapeutics, and when I get referred to with her, she and I share records. We have the HIPAA documentation, everything, patients sign, all that. And I do an initial assessment based on Shannon's evaluation. If it's somebody who comes in that is just like, I need a therapeutic, or I'm taking your class online, can I get a therapeutic? And I do a separate assessment with them on that of how they stand, what's hurting. It's quite a bit of intake on that, of just figuring out what the problem is physically, and then how we're going to work on it together. And then we do a quick encouragement on that. Then the second session that we're together, I stabilize the issue. That we spend the entire time stabilizing the issue, teaching that student how to stabilize that issue in their own life. I don't just do things that are on the mat, but during the previous session, the assessment, I figure out what it is they do in the world. Chances are that's where the injury came from. Okay. Then the third session, I mobilize the issue. The fourth session is usually when things start to fall apart and we improvise. And at that point, we find a workaround. It's usually at fourth session as well. It is revealed to me that they aren't doing their PT at home. We figure out a way for them to do it. And then on the fifth one, exercise, we come up with repetitive ways for them to work on this in a positive manner. Hacks, essentially. Now, tricks of the trade. Number one, everything is always a package, as I mentioned. 5 packages or 3 packages. 10 sessions is starting to get way out there. Copy. You have to have copy for each of your 3 modalities, plus your beginner format. Go through the description work that we did yesterday, and then add session 1, session 2, session 3, session 4, session 5. Those are the goals of each of these. You know, the ultimate goals of each of these. And like if you were talking about beginners, we're going to work on your symmetrical and core and teach you ways to get yourself strong. Okay, et cetera, et cetera. And then I went through the 5 of the other ones. Then you want to make sure you schedule. I'm not a big fan of Calendly because I like to be, or Calendly, however you say it, because I like to be in charge of making sure you and I schedule things like mutually, rather than just having an email saying like, Sudi just signed up for a private tomorrow at 2:15. I'm like, oh, thank you, haircut, which I haven't since March, so that is not going to happen. But you want to make sure you schedule it. So if somebody's emailing you, you've got to respond. You've got to respond. And if your schedule is tight, don't try to squeeze someone into your schedule. Schedule someone for when you actually have time with them. People can always tell when you're rushed. And your private clients are more likely to stick with you across the long haul if they know you value them. All right. And then number 4, have an intake form that you email them, and so that you know everything you need to know in written form. And then please read the goddamn thing. Don't just be like, I haven't taken a look at this yet. And they're like, yeah, I have 6 spinal fusions. And you're like, it would have been good to have thought about that all night long to know what I'm going to do with you. So read the damn thing. Have a plan going into it. Have clear policies around your private sessions, because I want you to value your time. The reason why I love packages is I love prepayment for you. I want people to value your time. So if they schedule with you 5 minutes before, they're not like, you know what? I decided instead I'm going to go for coffee. And can we do this later or tomorrow? What are you going to do tomorrow? And like instead, in my policies, it's really clear, like, 24 hours cancellation policy. 24 hours cancellation policy, so I can book my time doing something else or do nothing. I just need to know what I'm doing or not doing with my timer. And like, we want to make sure that they're aware in the policy that if it's a last minute cancellation, of course you can always change your mind. Like if a kid is sick or that person's sick or they have a fever and they're like, I might have COVID, please don't come. Of course I will reschedule it. But if I've learned that this is the quickest way for people to value your time because you're going to charge them anyway. You're going to charge them if they don't show. I have once in the history of my life had a woman book 5 sessions, prepay, cancel 5 times, get charged 5 times, book up another 5 sessions, and show up for the next 5 because she learned her lesson. Okay, prepayment. Follow through at the end of this. Like I send them the link. Thank you so much for coming to session today. Please remember to make sure your outer edges of your feet are parallel while you're walking. Here's a link to our time together, and I'll see you again next Wednesday at noon. Boom. Zoom is great at if you do your sessions. I set my sessions up as meetings, and it's seamless to send out invitations. And I wish that they would do a reminder thing. So if anybody knows an app that sends out a reminder the night before of session, see you tomorrow. Right now, I email them the night before and say, hey, Erin, see you tomorrow at 3 o'clock. And then she's like, oh shit, glad you reminded me. And then referral. I have an incentive policy now of thank you so much. You just finished your 5th one. If you rebook, here's your discount. If you rebook and you refer somebody, you get a full session free. People love to refer you. They love your session. And I was afraid to ask before. I know. It's like amazing how we devalue ourselves. Okay. Those are the tricks of the trade for private sessions. And I swear to God, if you want to put this out there, you will rock it because you're no longer swimming in the pool I offer yoga privates because that ethereal teacher, we have no idea what she's going to give you. You get there and she's like, what do you want to work on? And I would be too shy to say anything. I'd be like, you're the expert. That's why I'm paying you $154. Instead, I know this teacher has a very good plan for me. I love when a yoga teacher comes into a yoga class and has notebooks and a big backpack and is like, okay, everybody come sitting tall. What I don't love is the teacher who comes in and is like, does anybody have any in their class?
Or like, do we want to work on something specific?
Yeah, does anybody want to work on anything specific? And then I'm just like, you have no fucking plan, do you? Well, I just paid $22 for this drop-in. In New York City, I paid $27 for a drop-in the last time I was there. And the teacher walked in and said that. And I was literally like, if I was wearing line shorts and had a sweatshirt on, I would pull you over my head right now. You don't even have a plan. But you do have cool yoga pants, and that's my takeaway. All right, coming off this, last lecture coming up.